Hey Rich,
Yo,
where we going?
actually going back to my old digs, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna go and visit Jamie, which is where I used to live next to Jamie. That's how we met.
Wow.
And so yeah, we're gonna go and visit him, not too far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a new little pad now, new little house.
Oh,
He's got a little like a place that's all been done up. So we're gonna go and meet him there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hey! All good? Oh, tripped. Hi.
Mine's there.
Mine's set. Come on in.
Hello, Jay.
All good?
How did you even get here? How did you guys meet?
Me and Rich.
Yeah.
Well, we went to the same primary school, but we didn't know each other. And obviously my parents have lived here for years, years and years. So before the 31 years. But Rich lived 9 doors down, about 9 doors down. And it was when we went to secondary school. No, was that right?
I think I work out.
About 9 doors down, yeah. So I went to secondary school on the first day, and none of my friends were like this part. They were all kind of further down the road. And it just happened that I was walking past, and Rich shouted out his window, "Are you going to school?" And I'm like, "Well, where else am I kind of going?" And we kind of like walked together and walked to school.
Yeah.
Kind of the whole of school. But the real really story in that is I shouldn't have been in Rich's tutor group. I should have been in another tutor group, but none of my friends were in the tutor group.
So I had all Jamie's friends.
So I basically had to I had to move tutor groups.
Wow.
And obviously that's when I got to know Rich.
Yeah, amazing. So you must have seen the most, I guess, out of everyone, you must see the changes in Rich than a lot of us do. Would you say he's changed a lot, and can you expound on in what? Because some of us, I'll be honest, the amount of times that Rich says, "Oh, I used to be quiet, I used to," and then I'm like, it doesn't look like it. It doesn't seem you're quiet. When were you ever quiet? But you have seen that.
Yeah, Rich. I'd say Rich was quiet.
Yeah.
I think we had when you go back to school, we had basically a bit of a unique of being quiet, but also being fairly popular.
Yeah.
But we were kind of on the outside of things. I think we had we had kind of a good way to get to know the teachers, that kind of thing. So am I allowed to, we were librarians, but there's a way behind
So you were
that.
nerds.
We were nerds.
We were prefect librarians.
We were prefect librarians. Thank you. We weren't just any librarians.
We had a badge.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We had a badge saying prefect librarian on it.
Wow.
I probably still got it, I think.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So would you say, wow, that's prefect
We're prefects.
librarians. Wow. So in everything that you see.
We only had each other basically.
Yeah, basically. You only had each other. So would you say since then, what you've seen God do through him and in the church and whatnot, did you see that in him from the very beginning, or was it something that now you've reconnected? Was it a bit of a shock and whoa?
No, I think if you asked me 30 years ago, could I see Rich doing what he's doing? No, because obviously he hadn't met God at that point. But when he did start when he met Adam through college, there was this change. There was this change, and I don't think we kind of lost contact. We were still kind of in and out of each other's lives, mainly through partners and everything else. We were kind of we were and and obviously Claire kept in touch with Shanine. So and obviously the kids grew, kind of saw each other as well. But I don't think we kind of saw each other as much, mainly because I was working or different things. But yeah, whenever we did kind of connect, there was always something around. This is what God's doing at Hillfields, what God's doing at Sanctuary. And those kind of things. So there's always that level of conversation about about God and God, what God was doing.
Do you find it emotional in any way? Like when you think all this, like 30 years down the line, you've reconnected, but it started off by some, kids saying, do you want to walk to school?
Well, it was Rich. Rich basically called up his window and said, yeah, definitely, because you're kind of thinking like what if?
Yeah.
Like, what if? Like, 'cause obviously Rich was part of the Sanctuary. He went to London.
Yeah.
He came back. So, you're kind of thinking, like, what if, like, something, what if I'd gone to London as well? What if I'd, left the church when Rich left the church? What if? But, but God's got a plan all the way through. He knew exactly, what was gonna happen, and in the way that I've come into church and at that time, God knows, doesn't he? Like it's not our plan, it's his.
Amazing, yeah. And just to ask you, really, like obviously you've become like an integral part of this, what God is doing at Hillfields Church. We believe, obviously, as you know, every joint supplies, everyone is needed, everyone is wanted, and as like welcoming team and financer / builder / all that stuff, have you found yourself kind of expecting more now from God? What are your expectations going forward? Are you buzzing in your mind? Is there something going on?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of like for me, like it was pretty much like in my head, I've got to start, you kind of like I was in a church, I was, doing pastoral stuff, and then you go to a different church and you kind of like, I've got to sit there and like, but I know that that's what, just sitting there and receiving and, getting that relationship back with God again, was massive to where I am today, and I think I needed that, and I think it's important that, if when people do come, that they are allowed that time and they get that time, whether they want it or not, that they have that time to kind of just receive, because then you can start building that relationship with them, and seeing their gifts and the talents that God's given them to how they can potentially slot into the church family as well. And I was with the youth on Sunday, and we were talking about kind of the gifts that God's given them, and how they're not just a group of people that should just be coming to church to receive. God's given them gifts that they can be showing us. So how can we get them involved from their age to the welcoming team, to helping in kids church, to on the sound desk. How can we start to show them what it's like to serve others, as well as using the gifts that God's given them. But it's not just an adult thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I guess it's a similar question, but just
I didn't get that. Could you?
Alright, Siri.
Siri didn't get it.
Siri didn't get that, so I'll say that louder, yeah? Just to kind of cap it off, since you've been here, what's one thing that you're like, you're really grateful to God for, that's you've been challenged in since you've been at Hillfields Church?
I'd say just the welcome, just the acceptance of people, and even new people that have come in, just how open they are just to want that relationship with God, and just kind of putting God first, and the you know, just allowing God to use them as well, because you know, you can come into a church and just kind of like, I'm just going to sit here, but then when it's time you've had that time and you feel ready, some people continue just to sit there, but I don't think I think it's different, because people want to serve the rest of the church family. They want to do things for other people and they want to get involved. Like, obviously we've been at church this morning and there's 2 people that weren't part of the church. Well, 3 people weren't part of the church, you know, a year ago, let's say, and all 3 of them are potting around in the garden, you know, making the garden look great for, you know, not just visitors that come in, but also the church family and how it looks, and that's important for them. So it's giving them some purpose as well. You know, yeah.